The first thing you should know about rocks is that the people who study them are known as geologists. Geologists don't study just rocks, they study the earth, our home, and just like doctors, geologists have specialities. For example, some focus on the oceans, others on the interior of the earth, and some even study other planets. Geology's many disciplines are separated into two broad categories: historical geology and physical geology. Historical geologists look at the formation and evolution of the Earth and life on Earth. Physical geologists study what materials the Earth is made of and what's happening on and beneath the Earth's surface. How old is the Earth? Now, the Earth was here long before you and I got here. It was here even before your great-grandparents were born. In fact, the Earth is older than the first humans. Makes sense, doesn't it? If there was no Earth when the first humans were born, then they would have just fallen through space. Anyway, the Earth is really old. We can think of the Earth's age in terms of geologic time. Think of it this way: if the 4.6 billion years of the Earth's history were compacted into 1 year, the first forms of life would appear in May. The dinosaurs wouldn't be around until mid-December. Humans wouldn't appear until the last few hours of December 31st. So, we humans have only been around for only a few tenths of the percent of the Earth's existence. By studying the rocks on Earth, geologists have been able to construct a complete record that outlines the periods of time when rocks were formed. You live in the Phanerozoic Eon. It's something geologists made up. Well, they didn't just make it up, they did it by studying and classifying something called deep time. Deep time is the billions of years that covered the Earth's history. Now, that's a lot of years, so geologists have broken these huge chunks of time into more manageable chunks: eons, eras, periods, and epochs. Eons are the biggest. Think of them as years. Think of eras as being roughly like months, periods like weeks, and epochs like days. As mentioned, we live in the Phanerozoic Eon, which started 570 million years ago, so we can divide the Phanerozoic Eon into eras, periods, and epochs. In addition to the Phanerozoic Eon, there are 3 eons that account for most of the Earth's existence. They are the Pre-Archean, the Archean, and the Proterozoic. Let's start our own investigation by looking at sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rocks are formed from sediments, things like little pieces of gravel, sand, silt, and clay, as well as the remains of animals and plants. All this sediment gets carried along and then left by things like water, wind, and glaciers. Sedimentary rocks can give a lot of clues as to what was happening on Earth when they were formed, because they contain all those little pieces of stuff that were around at that time. Most sedimentary rocks come from sediments deposited on the margins of the ocean. As more and more sediment is deposited on top, the older sediment gets buried. This burial results in compaction and cementation. This overall process is called lithification, which is basically the process of turning a sediment into a sedimentary rock. Often, plant and animal remains that were present in the sediment are preserved in the sedimentary rock. Rocks are made of minerals, so to understand rocks, we have to understand minerals. A mineral is an inorganic solid with a unique chemical composition and crystalline structure. Let's discuss some of the physical properties of minerals.